How about some tunes in between the speechifier? Our good friend, longtime fellow musician in the Olympia area, Mr. Danny Kelly.
No, and I won't be waving no flag, not today. Cause you see, I think my country has done lost its way. I don't know what is true any more than you do, but something's terribly wrong with that red, white, and blue. It's all bloody, beat up and bruised. Oh, for profit power, all the three-piece suit crooks hide their treasures offshore. Yeah, they're cooking the books. It's a government run like some dark covenant, with all the corporate pirates in the shadows helping, while we're working so hard for our rent. Oh, my country's flag is red, black, and blue. Yeah, it's a red as the Indian flood we rode in on. My country's flag is red, black, and blue. Black and blue, beat and bruised, abused and confused. Jail the black, brown, and poor, and they call that the drug war. And they just throw in some guns and they watch the blood pour. Cause they make it so hard for a man to get clean. They just herd them right in to that prison machine. And you know that that will just make a man mean. And we can't pay a teacher enough like we should. Oh, but trillions for war, well, yeah, that's understood. And they're drilling deep holes in the last wilderness so they can suck out that oil and leave us with the mess. They're making war on the earth, on the whole damn planet. Do they think that we're all just one big idiot? But do you think we could stop them and force them to quit? Cause I don't trust these fuckers as far as I spit. They'll make their money and they'll leave us with shit. Oh, my country's flag is red, black, and blue. Yeah, it's red. It's the eyes of the homeless and broken. My country's flag is red, black, and blue. Black and blue, beat and bruised, abused and confused. Boeing,
tax the rich!
Microsoft,
Tax the rich!
Bank of America,
Tax the rich!
GE,
Tax the rich!
This state is not broke. There is hundreds of millions of billions of dollars here. And they're hoarding it, and they're making more, and they're making us pay for it. And they're sucking it right out of our pockets. Programs, education, unbelievable. They're trying to privatize everything. Prisons, the military, the intelligence community, the ferry system, every single thing they want to turn into a profit generating, and none of the money is coming back here. Is it any wonder these guys are claiming we're broke? We didn't take the money, and they're trying to blame it on us and make us pay for it. Not going to happen. Tax the rich.
Tax the rich!
Our next speaker, Larry Mosqueda from Evergreen State College, faculty.
Okay, I teach political economy at the Evergreen State College, but you don't have to be a college professor in political science or economics to know that we're being lied to. We're being lied to about very specific things, about very specific money. I'm not going to read all this, but I just have some very specific figures here that people should think about. I'm going to talk about three things very quickly. One is actually how is the problem being defined to us, the current problem. The second is actually what's causing the problem, where are we actually spending our money. And the third is actually what other people are going to do about it, what we're going to do about it, what other people are going to do about it, and then many speakers will talk about that. Last month, or in January, the New York Times indicated that all the states in the United States, 44 states have deficits, $124 billion worth of deficits around the United States. So that's supposed to be what the problem is. We're supposed to have a problem of $5 billion deficit in Washington State. California is a $24 billion deficit. So we're being told that the money doesn't exist. And as the previous speaker just said, that's actually a lie. It's not a question of interpretation, it's a question of a lie. There's plenty of money around. And it's a federal problem and a state problem. If you take a look at where we're spending the money, this year, fiscal year 2011, $159 billion is spent on the war in Iraq and Afghanistan. That's more than is being spent on all the deficits for the United States. More that's being spent on all the state deficits for the United States. Last year, the federal government gave a few $billion, a few pennies to the different states. This year, they say they're giving nothing because they don't have any money. But yet they're spending $159 billion on Iraq and Afghanistan alone. If you look at the Department of Defense budget is $21 billion. And if we cut 85% of the budget for Department of Defense, which we're not going to do, we would still be the #1 power in the nation, in the world, who's spending money. So we're spending $1.3 trillion worth of money each year on past, present, and future wars. So if they want to find the money, there's plenty of money in the federal government. And we're being told that there's not enough money that's in the state of Washington. The total cost of the war so far in Iraq and Afghanistan from when it started in 2001 to the present is $1.3 trillion. $1.3 trillion, and it's going to go further. The total cost to Washington State for the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, this is from the National Priorities Project, which is a group I'd recommend you go online and check out, National Priorities Project, and they'll tell you the exact amount of money. The total exact amount of money that Washington State residents have paid for the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan is $28.6 billion. $28.6 billion. In fact, one of the points the National Priorities Project pointed out, if you took the money that's being spent on the war just for Washington State, some of you may have seen the recent stories where students who have straight A's cannot get into the University of Washington, in-state students. If we took the money that was being spent on the war for Washington State alone, we'd actually have enough money to spend to support every freshman class for the next, and make sure you get this right, 228 years. 228 years. And I did the math, and actually the numbers are correct.
Watering down the reason we're here. I mean, it's all fine to say people first, but one must specify that we need to tax the corporations and the rich. We can't let that message get lost. And like a lot of you,
29,000 jobs.
For years
So the more
now,
you spend on
Republicans have
education,
demonstrated-
the more you spend on health care, the more jobs we have. So what's happening is that the ultra-rich, the top 2%, are basically stealing the wealth of America. And they've been doing this since, well, the entire history, but also specifically for the last 30 years, since the Reagan administration. So when they tell you there's not enough money, that's a lie. The top 1% now have 43% of the financial wealth of America. The top 20% have another 50%. That's 93%. The bottom 80% of the American population have 7% of the wealth of America. This is class warfare by the elites. This is class warfare by the elites. And those of us of the middle class and the working class, because basically middle class people are just better paid working class people. Don't let them separate us from the working class if you have a quote, a middle class type of job. There's plenty of money available. take the money being spent on war and put it spend it in the United States on health and education, and also taxes. The current marginal rate for millionaires is 35%. The period of growth for America, for the American working class, was 1947 to 1967. The average standard of living increased by 100%. People were getting better off in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. The tax rate between 1947 and 1967 at the top rate ranged from 72% to 90%. So the rich were actually getting richer, but they were paying some of their fair share. Now the tax rate is 35%. There is so much money out there. There's so much wealth out there. So when the governor or a Republican or a Democrat tells you they don't have the money, that's called a lie. It's not a question. It's not a question that they can't find the money. You can find the money. It took me about an hour worth of research to actually find the money. There's plenty of money around. Even Warren Buffett, who's not exactly a revolutionary communist, the second richest man in the United States, Warren Buffett said, there's a class war going on, and my class is winning it. And even he knows that he should pay more taxes. He points out his secretary pays a higher percentage of taxes than he does. So we should actually demand that they increase taxes for the top 2%. Demand that they fund education. Demand that they fund healthcare. We're not asking for something that doesn't belong to us. We're not a minority that needs to beg. We're a majority that can demand, and we should start demanding it and demanding it and demanding it. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. If you are scheduled to